What is going on, everybody? It's lunchtime. Time to take a break from your workday, hang out with the Clydesdale. My name's Scott. What's going on? I know normally on Thursdays you tune in. It is our round table, but I'm the only one available today, so I just decided to make it a lunch with the Clydesdale. And with that, we may be changing the format a little bit going forward and just keeping them all lunches. And then anybody from the crew, from any show we do, are just going to jump in whenever they can during the lunch hours to kind of hang out with us and do it that way, rather than have one dedicated show for that and then everything else, just to keep kind of everything a little more symmetrical going forward. So every day at the lunch hour will be lunch with the Clydesdale. And it may have just me. It may have other people from the crew on here as well. But yeah, I think that's what we're going to do going forward. Corey said, should have sent me a link. I'm free as the 4th of July. Well, that's pretty sweet. But I think today's going to be a little bit shorter show. I've got a lot of work going on. So we're just going to talk through some stuff. And as what happens usually is I take all these notes down as the days and the weeks go on, whether it's going to be a Sunday show or going to be a lunch show or whatever's going on. And I take these notes down so I have them. And then I run down here to do the podcast and I forget them, and the notes are on my desk. So then I try to remember everything I wrote down and I scratch it down on a piece of paper here, hoping to catch everything that I wanted to talk about, because not only is it lunch with the Clydesdale, it's also laundry with the Clydesdale. My washer and dryer is just on the just in front of me over there, and this is my time to come down and flip laundry, flip it from the washer to the dryer, put a new load in. As my wife is still recovering from her knee surgery, but the good news is my wife has ditched the cane. She is without a cane. She has been with a cane since probably, 6 to 8 months before the surgery. And so now for the first time, she is walking around cane free, which is a huge win for us, huge win for her, that she is able to do that now. Because I'm thinking, we went up to a beach competition in Michigan with Jamie, and she was on the cane then. So man, it's been a while. That was last summer. So yeah, we are moving well in advance now. The other thing is, yesterday we found out that my daughter got a job offer to be a fashion photographer for a company in Montana. She got the offer yesterday. So within the next month, she is moving from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to Great Falls, Montana. And I will have to be packing up and taking her up there. And I'm going to be driving with her the 25 hours to get from here to there, and getting her settled in Montana to take on her new job. It is her dream job. She has always wanted to be a fashion photographer. In college, she was the photo editor of the fashion magazine, and that has been her dream. And so she will be doing the apparel and the footwear for this company, doing all the fashion photography for that, for the catalogs, for all of that. And she will be over the social media aspect of all of that. Those are the two things that are her dream jobs. She also has a degree in social media. So she is super excited and overwhelmed and scared and all of that, because it is a big move. It's pretty far away from us, but it's a way for her to gain her independence. It's a way for her to build up her resume in a way that that makes her so much more a viable candidate for other companies doing the same thing. I'm so proud of her. And I've never been to Montana, so this will be my first time in Montana as we drive up there, and within the month. And so I'm hoping to take some kind of iPad or phone to do some shows from the road as we head up to Montana. So yeah, so I think we're going to try to make a little fun trip out of it, but we'll see how that goes. Can't wait. Good news all around. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is today is opening day for Major League Baseball. Now, there was a couple games in Japan last week, I think it was, Dodgers and Cubs. There were 2 games in Japan, but today is the official opening day. My Pittsburgh Pirates take the mound against the Florida Marlins, and Paul Skeens is taking the mound. The great LSU hope for the Pirates. So I cannot wait for that. But I know a lot of people, like, baseball is falling out. And so I pose to you, do you care that baseball's opening day is today? It used to be like almost a national holiday when I was a kid. My buddies and I would always go the second day of the season to see the Pittsburgh Pirates play because it was so hard to get a ticket on opening day, but it was really easy on the second day. And then we would go, and then this was when we were in high school. Then we would hang out down by the locker room, get autographs as from the players as they came out of the locker room. And we made a whole like day of it. But I see Andrew Sten says, people care about opening day in Cincinnati. It's an unofficial holiday here. For the first professional baseball team, baseball doesn't start until the Reds play. Yeah, that used to be the tradition that the Reds opened up the season every single year with like a noon game, to start the season. So I know in Cincinnati, they take it pretty seriously. And Andrew goes on to brag about his Cincinnati Reds that no team does opening day like the Reds. Jay Birch, I love to play baseball, hate to watch baseball, so opening day has no bearing on me. I will say this. I love watching live baseball. There's nothing like getting a hot dog at a stadium, maybe some nachos, maybe some popcorn. It's something I did with my dad a bunch as a kid, and so maybe that it's just the memory for me. But my wife and I, we've done that on our anniversary. And we have a AAA team here in Columbus, so we even go down and watch them. But I will say the pitch clock may have saved baseball for me. Having the pitch clock speeds up the game enough that makes it much more watchable because I think the game had slowed down with all of the antics, even since I was a kid, and it made it much more watchable. So the games go much faster now. Holly's brother took the day off. Major League Baseball has no interest for me. LSU baseball, on the other hand, that's some good stuff. Jay Birch says in a stadium, maybe. And Holly finished up nephew, and maybe his nephew and her nephew also took the day off. Jay Birch says, I did sit outside a Rangers game in Arlington and had a good time. So you were in the parking lot just partying it up, Jay Birch? Yeah, I'm excited for it. And it also kind of signals like the first day of spring, right? That we're kind of getting closer and closer to something that's better weather. Like I took my dog for a walk today, and it wasn't really chilly today. It actually is starting to warm up where it was a pretty pleasant walk. Andrew says, Corey, whoops. You live somewhere where there are no professional sports teams, so college is where it's at. I don't count the Saints or Pelicans as pro. Yeah. But Andrew, the Saints have won more Super Bowls than the Bengals. So your argument there doesn't really hold a lot of water. But I can see what Corey's saying. I lived in Tallahassee for 4 years. Florida State baseball was huge. They were always in the College World Series back then. They had people like JD Drew back there at the time. And we would go watch Florida State baseball all the time. And it was a cheap ticket, like $5. You would go in. It's Florida, so the weather's beautiful. You're sitting underneath the palm trees in the stands, watching college baseball. It was a good time. We had a blast doing that. So I just wanted to get your impressions. According to 1923, spring in Montana starts in June. Yeah, that'll be something my daughter will have to get used to. For sure. Aaron says we are in the 80s here in Florida. Yeah, when I lived in Florida, like New Year's Day, it'd be 70s. Because that's my birthday. I remember being out on the patio, like grilling, having a beer, doing some home improvement stuff. Super easy. Corey says the Pelicans are mad. The Saints have fallen off. But while Breeze was here, we had some badass years. You did. Jody says in Chicago, every high school had ditch day on opening day for the Cubs and Sox. That may still be the case for the Cubs, but the White Sox may have trouble drawing people this year, Jody. Man, they were so bad last year. So bad. Broke the 150 year, like baseball's been on for 150 years and nobody lost as many games as the White Sox did last year. Jay Birch is talking to me about all of the national parks in Montana. He talked to me about Glacier, and now he's saying Yellowstone doesn't open until next month, and that is south of Great Falls. Yeah, my daughter is right between the two. So she is smack dab between Glacier and Yellowstone. I think it's 3 hours in each direction. And those are two places I'd really like to see. I've not seen either. So while she lives out there, I'm going to try to get to both national parks while she's there, for sure. So, yeah, keep the comments coming. A couple cleanup items. Jody, White Sox playing the ghetto. Cubs playing Wrigleyville, a very hoity-toity era. Yeah, Wrigleyville has become like the major hotspot. One of my judge friends who has worked his way up as like to head judge, and now like even above that, where like he organizes the stuff and works that for the games. He lives in Wrigleyville. Is a big Cubs fan, big Bears fan. His name's Kevin. Dude is like one of my best friends in the CrossFit space. And he's invited us out to go to Wrigleyville and to hang out and do some games. And so at some point I need to take him up on that offer. So to clean up a couple things, yesterday Corey and I were talking about Den of Thieves being such a great movie. And we talked about how the one cop in Den of Thieves looked like Dex Hopkins. So I am going to show you this picture here. On the left is the cop from Den of Thieves. On the right is Dex Hopkins, who I like to call Daddy Diesel. They are like spitting images of each other. They even have like tattoo sleeves in the same spot. And I talked to Dex last night, and he was saying that people have made posts tagging both of them, and they've actually become internet friends over the years, because when Dex grew his beard long, so did Kawhi Lyman. So they both had long beards at the same time, and long hair at the same time. And so they've actually become internet friends. It was really funny talking to Dex last night. But that's super cool that that's happened. And it was the first thing I thought watching the movie. So I'm going to pose this to you guys. If you know of any other doppelgangers in the CrossFit space, I would love to do some side by sides and talk about that going forward. Because Corey and I talked about this yesterday, and I had to do a side by side to show you guys how much they look alike. But it is funny that they're like tattoo sleeves run the same arm. They grow their facial hair and head hair at the same times, because actually in Den of Thieves, Kawhi's hair is like Dex's in this picture. It is shaved down to just a really super short cut, and so he even looks more like Dex in Den of Thieves than they do in these pictures. And even with that, Holly says same picture. Corey Leonard says pretty sure that's the same picture. So Aaron says, does Dex coach for Brute? He does. He does. Also found out that he got a media pass for WFP in Indianapolis, so we can hook up with him there, hopefully, and hopefully we can get some content from him. Holly wants to know, has anyone seen the two of them in the same room together? I don't know. I don't know if it's happened, Holly. I don't know. So anyway, just think it's funny. If you guys know of any other doppelgangers, shoot me a DM or shoot me a message on YouTube. I'd love to do some side by sides on more doppelgangers in the CrossFit space. So anyway, cleaning that up from yesterday. And then we also announced on Instagram yesterday, and she was going to try to join the show today, but she's in a meeting and then has to take a train back home. Here is our new show coming out, but I believe it's coming out next week. But it's all on Cat, and this is the new show, Catching Feelings, the Catching Feelings podcast, where she's going to talk about back in the dating game after many, many years. But it's going to be more I think it's going to evolve into more than that. It's just going to be her talking about her experiences, where she's at in life, sharing those with the audience, and just having a place for people to come talk about those things. But I think she's shooting for next Wednesday. As we get more details on that, check our Instagram. We'll post them up there. So if you're interested in that show, initially she was going to do it just a dating show. But I think now it's going to be like a little bit more of just her where she's at in life, the feeling she has right now through all of that, with dating being a major component of it. But yeah, so check that out next week, hopefully. And again, we'll put more information out onto Instagram as we know more. Corey sending me texts. Someone has a doppelganger for Matt Frazier. Wow. Okay. I'm going to have to see that. I'll check that offline. Jody, I love that show she did with the therapist. Yeah, that was really good. Really good. And now you'll know, like, because Kat's been through her divorce, going through that while she was kind of going through that, and that wasn't public yet. That was really tough for her, but she did a great job on that podcast. So yeah, Kat's animated guns are for real. Yeah, they're pretty big in real life. So I think she's not exaggerating on the animation at all. The last thing I wanted to share is we talked about this a little bit yesterday, and that is I'm going to share yesterday I got a surprise. Yesterday afternoon I had to do a lot of work, so I put on Be Friendly Fitness just to hear what they were saying about the qualifiers in the WFP. And out of the blue,
big thing that came out this week, and I was trying to stall for a guest that we're actually having come on the show today. The main focus is today is going to be on the qualifiers that just happened, and we're going to go through that in a little bit of depth. But there were two things that really jumped out to me from the online qualifier as kind of being what I would say is the kind of most impressive results. The first was Nate Ackerman, and we'll talk about him in a second. And the second one was a late addition to the field that I was able to get to skip some time on her vacation to come and talk to us about wanting to do it. Jamie Latimer, what's up?
Hi.
We finally
Patrick did not know you were coming on this show.
I did. But it's only
I didn't know I was coming on.
But it's only fair because
so anyway,
I'm always trying
I
to
guess
get on
there's
your
some
show
audio issues with that. So I'll go ahead and take it down. But yeah, Jamie was on Be Friendly Fitness yesterday, live from Cancun, looking all tan and buff, but represented well, giving Clydesdale a couple shout outs, which was awesome. But she talked about what it was like to, at 41 years old, qualify for the Challenger series at the WFP. And that she said on the show that she more than likely will try to compete at Indianapolis, as it's so close to her home. It's just one of those competitions where she can test herself. That is a place she's not going to have to put out $3,000 to travel, to get airfare, to get hotel rooms, that she'll be able to go do that and actually have support from her gym to come down. So it was really cool. She did not let me know she was doing the show. So when I was sitting there doing my work yesterday and she popped on the screen, I was taken aback, but super, super excited for her, that she's been able to do that. Now we're just waiting for video review to happen to make sure she stays in that spot. But if you've watched any of Jamie's career, she's such a good mover. I don't anticipate her getting any penalties. If anything, she may move up the leaderboard somewhat in the Challenger series. But what was cool is yesterday she talked about, like, there are workouts that are her jam that she thinks she can compete with anybody in the world. And I think she wants the opportunity to get out on the floor and show what she can do in those events. And this is going to give her that opportunity to do that. She also talked about, and she talked about it on our show earlier, is the CrossFit Games for Masters that are here in Columbus are on the same weekend that if her son goes to Michigan State is the welcome weekend for the students. And that this year she has committed to whatever is most important for her son and not necessarily for her. So if that does happen, she may have a scheduling conflict with the Masters CrossFit Games and not be able to do it. So this gives her an opportunity to compete on a higher level, and test herself against some of the best people in the world. Because currently in the Challenger series, like there's people like Abby Domet, Sydney McAlishan, Lexi Nee. I think Lexi Neely's in there. Kyra Milligan. So she'd be able to test herself against those types of people. And who knows, they may move up into the pro series because they're really close to that cut line from 10 to 15. So we'll see, but super proud of Jamie in what she's been able to accomplish in these last couple of years. At 41 years old, to hang with the kids is pretty damn impressive. And I'm glad that Brian recognized that and highlighted her yesterday on their show to do that. It's just cool seeing that she's getting recognized for that. So super awesome. Yeah, Jody Lynn, the dang colleges have those wacky schedules. Yeah. That's a like I hope it's just an oversight, but it just seems like some of these competition organizers are just tone deaf to some of the things that are going on. If you're a masters athlete, there is a good chance that you have children. Like last year, we had the problem where there were masters athletes and teen athletes both qualifying for the CrossFit Games. And because they put them on the same weekend in different locations, they could not cheer for each other. They couldn't be there for each other. They rectified this year. And now they place the masters and teens CrossFit Games smack dab in the middle of August when kids are going back to school and kids are going to college. Now you have probably 16, 17-year-olds who some may be going on to college. Some may be starting high school right at that time. And then you have parents of those children or a little bit older going off to college who have to go and deal with all of that as well. And so I just think it's bad timing for those age groups. If you're talking the elite division, where the average age is in the mid to upper 20s, like I think you're fine. But when you're talking the age groups, those are the two age groups that are affected most by the times in which these things are scheduled. And maybe that's the only weekend they could get. Who knows? I don't know. Jody says being a fit parent is tough. It really is. Jay Birch asked, should it be done earlier or later? I have always been a proponent that the age group games should be done before the elite games. And then the highlights from what happened at those events are featured in between events at the elite CrossFit games. And that way it's a way of bringing those age group athletes into that CrossFit Games atmosphere and still highlighting what they did and the amazing things they've done. And that goes for adaptive too. It's a way to feature all of those athletes and show off what they did. Yeah, I'm up for July, Jay Birch. Truly July. Midsummer, when a parent and a teen aren't doing anything, is the perfect time to do that. And then you take that highlight footage and you show them off at the CrossFit Games in between events, on TVs at Vendor Village, things like that. So that the spectators are entertained by what these age group athletes are able to do. If that makes sense. So off of my soapbox for that. I did want to give CrossFit kudos. Jay Birch says, that's my birthday month. I can't be judging then. So Jay Birch's birthday is like a whole month celebration. You got it, Kenneth. Mini riff. I always tell my wife that my birthday is Scottapalooza. It's a week long, and I should be treated as such for the whole week. She has never bought into that in our 30 years together. So good luck to that, Jay Birch. I wanted to give, I can't type and talk at the same time. CrossFit and the CrossFit Games, kudos. They came out with a really cool reel today. Lucky to get my one day. Amen, brother. Amen. Where they did, it was like I'm calling it all grown up, but it's showing teen athletes when they were competing at the CrossFit Games as teens, and now that they're all grown up, what they look like. And so I'm going to share that screen real quick, and it is awesome. So I'm going to play it. Hopefully, I don't want to play the music, but you get it. So it's even cooler with the music, but it's just like a picture of them as a teen athlete and where they are today. There's Dallin, and then Jack Dallin. There's Gabby, then celebrating Gabby, Alexis. Isn't it crazy how Alexis hasn't aged a bit? James Sprague hasn't aged either. He just got more ripped. Anyway, I thought that was a really cool reel and something they should be given kudos for. The media team has definitely stepped it up in the last few months with the content they're putting out. It actually is really cool stuff. The behind the scenes of 25.3 was awesome. This reel is awesome. They've just done a really good job with all of this stuff. Aaron Frazier says he probably got one of those sashes that he pins money to. I do not. I've never done that. The first time I saw that, I think I was in Florida, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" I didn't even understand that, and it had to be explained to me. Growing up in the woods and mountains of Pennsylvania, we never did anything like that. So it was all new to me. Have I hit everything? Yeah, pretty much hit everything for the day. The last thing I'm going to talk about is Tia Toomey put out a video where she talked about doing high rocks, and it talked about like what her season's going to look like. And man, I always fall for their clickbait. I had actually stopped for a while. I just stopped watching the videos and I waited for somebody to tell me what it said. But I watched this video. You get to the end, and basically she just says that she's going to do High Rock Chicago, that she's going to do Torian Pro, and then after that she just doesn't know. Whatever comes next comes next. So basically, no answer. Yeah, we talked about it on the Sunday night show where John Young had made the prediction that Tia would do Torian Pro and then hang it up on the floor in her home country. And actually, after watching this video, I'm more inclined to believe that that actually is going to happen. Even though there is no evidence to back that up. John was just shooting from the hip, and he admits he's shooting from the hip. But the more when I watched that video, it actually led me to believe that that is a possibility now, for sure. I think she talks a lot about the High Rocks community being the way the CrossFit community used to be. And my thought in that moment was, well, rather than jumping ship and going and just hanging out with that community, what can you do to make this community better again? Because I think that's the missing piece from some of the elite athletes is instead of like complaining of where we are, what can I do to make it better? And I think we could all ask ourselves that, you know, what can we all do to make it better? So That's just something that crossed my mind as I was watching the Tia video. So, yep, that's what I have. With that, guys, shoot me your doppelganger picks in the CrossFit space. Especially like it's a celebrity and a CrossFitter. That'd be really cool. I would love to put some stuff together like that. And just one last time, like that's Dex and Kawhi Lyman from Den of Thieves and Den of Thieves 2. Something like that. We got a new show coming out. Don't forget that. Catching Feelings with Kat. That should start next week. And other than that, nah, that Dex and Dex. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So with that, time to get back to work, you hooligans. We will see you next time on Lunch with the Clydesdale. Bye, guys.